Okay, listen to this. Because it's the kind of thing that makes you question everything you thought you knew about people. You think you've got someone figured out? Think you know their life, their secrets? Nah, you're just scratching the surface. This is about to go deep. Ethan, 35, coder by trade, lived for the quiet hum of the city at night, the kind you hear from his Brooklyn apartment window overlooking the brownstones. Give him a worn paperback, a steaming mug, and his son Max. That was his perfect Friday night. Parties, crowds, forget about it. Ethan was wired for peace, for loyalty that ran deep, the kind that anchored you in a world that was constantly spinning. Olivia, his wife, 32, sharp, fast-talking marketing exec, was a human hurricane. Downtown clubs, rooftop parties, art openings in Chelsea. She lived for the spotlight, the buzz, the constant motion. Routine made her skin crawl. You could see the friction, right? The quiet guy, the live wire. Oil and water in a tiny New York apartment. Max, all of 5 years old, sunshine in human form, adored them both, completely oblivious to the fault lines cracking open in his family's foundation. 7 years married. From the outside, park slope perfection. Ethan, the solid ground. Olivia, the electric current. But appearances, man, they're always deceiving. Slowly, subtly, cracks started to appear in their carefully curated life, like fissures in the city pavement after a brutal winter. Olivia, always the social butterfly, needed that stage, that applause. Gallery openings, industry mixers, weekend trips to the Hamptons. She thrived on the energy, the attention. Ethan, he'd rather be home, building Lego castles with Max, ordering takeout from the corner deli, the city lights twinkling outside their window. Social gatherings drained him, left him feeling like an outsider in his own life, a ghost drifting through Olivia's vibrant world. The little jabs, the unspoken criticisms, they started to surface, then escalated into full-blown arguments, always circling back to the same thing, their wildly different lives. One Saturday night, Olivia comes home, all lipstick and laughter, the scent of expensive perfume clinging to her like a second skin. A little buzzed, definitely pleased with herself. Ethan, you missed out. Daniel was killing it tonight, seriously hilarious, so charismatic, so alive. You could really learn something from him. Ethan, sitting on the couch, flipping through a book he wasn't really reading, a knot tightening in his stomach. He tried to keep his voice even, but the hurt was there, sharp and unmistakable. Glad you had fun, Liv. But you know that scene isn't for me. And honestly, you've been going out a lot lately. Olivia just rolled her eyes, tossing her clutch onto the coffee table like his concern was some kind of annoying insect she was swatting away. Oh, come on, Ethan, it's just fun. Lighten up. Daniel says you're way too intense. Ethan's jaw tightened. He put his book down, the quiet snap of the cover echoing in the tense silence. Daniel doesn't live here, Olivia. I do. And I'm not a project. I don't like you constantly comparing me to him, to anyone. It feels like I'm being judged for just existing. Olivia sighed dramatically, already tuning him out, reaching for her phone. You just don't get it, Ethan. And that was it. Conversation over. But the resentment? That was just getting warmed up. A few weeks turned into a few months. Subtle shifts, almost invisible at first, like the slow creep of dawn across the city skyline. Olivia started acting different, secretive, whispering on her phone in the hallway, more late nights at the office, coming home later and later, vague excuses about client dinners and networking events. Ethan would ask, casual, "Everything okay, Liv? You seem stressed." And she'd brush him off with a dismissive wave of her hand. "Work stuff. You wouldn't understand." But it wasn't just work stress. It was distance. A coldness that hadn't been there before. Less affection, fewer touches. A wall building brick by brick between them. Defensive if Ethan even hinted at anything being off. Like walking on eggshells in his own apartment. One Wednesday night, Olivia said she had a gallery opening in Soho. Ethan stayed home, put Max to bed, the city lights painting streaks across their living room. He tried to read, but the words blurred on the page. That nagging feeling, that unease, it was growing, solidifying into a cold knot in his stomach. Something was wrong, deeply wrong, and his gut was screaming at him to pay attention, to stop being so damn passive. Later, hours later, the apartment quiet. Olivia finally came home. Heard her keys jingle in the lock, the click of her heels on the hardwood floor. She mumbled a tired, "Hey," barely glancing at him, and headed straight for the bedroom. Ethan stayed on the couch, pretending to read, listening to the muted sounds of her getting ready for bed. Then, silence. A few minutes later, a notification pinged from the kitchen counter. Olivia's phone. Left it charging. Ethan wasn't a snoop, never had been, but something pulled him out of his chair, drew him to the kitchen, to that glowing screen. Just a glance, he told himself, just to see if it was important. Message from Daniel flashed across the lock screen. "Thinking about last night. You were incredible, seriously. Let's do it again soon." Ethan's breath hitched. His heart hammered against his ribs. He picked up the phone, unlocked it. Olivia's birthday was easy enough to guess, and opened the message thread. Daniel. Daniel from the gallery opening. Daniel who was so charismatic, so alive. He scrolled back, and further back. Weeks, then months. Messages stretching back for months. Flirty, intimate, explicit, way beyond friendly. This wasn't a casual thing, a harmless flirtation. This was an affair, a full-blown, months-long betrayal. His wife, lying to his face, sneaking around behind his back, for months. "Daniel, you deserve someone who sees you, really sees you. Ethan's too contained. You need someone who can match your fire." Olivia. "You get me, Daniel. You really do. It's like you see right through me. Ethan, he just doesn't understand this part of me." Ethan sank into a kitchen chair. Olivia's phone clutched in his hand, the screen illuminating his stunned face in the darkness. Disbelief. Nausea rising in his throat. Like a physical blow, a punch to the gut that stole his breath. Not just a fling, an affair. His wife. Betraying him. For months. And he'd been so blind, so trusting, so stupid. His love, his loyalty, everything he believed in, just shattered, pulverized, tossed aside like yesterday's trash for some guy who gave her fire. Fire. That's what it came down to. She wanted fire, and he was just embers. Sleep was impossible. Ethan sat in the dark living room, the city noise a distant drone, Olivia's phone still in his hand, rereading the messages, each word a fresh wound. He felt numb, then furious, then numb again. How could she? How could she do this to him? To Max? To their life? He kept seeing flashes of their wedding day, their first apartment, Max's birth, all the moments, big and small, that they had shared, all now tainted, poisoned by her lies. He felt like he was drowning, suffocating in the weight of her betrayal. Morning came, gray and grim, mirroring the storm raging inside him. Ethan barely slept, eyes bloodshot, face pale and drawn. Olivia, oblivious or pretending to be, got up, showered, started making coffee, humming some upbeat pop song. The normalcy of it, the sheer audacity of it, made his blood boil. He walked into the kitchen, his body stiff, his voice flat, cold as ice. "Olivia, we need to talk." She glanced up mid-pour, sensing the shift in the atmosphere instantly. The cheerfulness vanished, replaced by a flicker of apprehension. "What's wrong?" Nervous little laugh, too bright, too forced. Ethan walked over to the counter, placed her phone down in front of her, Daniel's message still open on the screen. He met her eyes, held her gaze, unwavering. I know about you and Daniel." Her face went white, all color draining away, leaving her looking ghostly, fragile. She stared at the phone, then back at him, eyes wide with panic. No denial, no excuses, just raw, naked fear. "Ethan, it's not what you think." The classic line, the pathetic, predictable lie. Ethan's voice remained steady, controlled, but the ice in it had sharpened into shards. "Really? Because it looks pretty damn clear to me, Olivia. Months of messages, months of lies, months of you sneaking around behind my back." Olivia stammered, grasping for words, for anything to deflect, to minimize, to explain away the mountain of evidence on her phone. It happened. I didn't mean for it to happen. Things have been difficult between us lately. You know that." Tears welled up in her eyes, manufactured tears, Ethan realized with a sickening lurch in his stomach. She was playing him. Still, Ethan's control snapped. Not shouting, not yelling, but his voice rose, edged with a raw, furious pain. "Difficult? You think difficult justifies this? You think difficult gives you a free pass to cheat on me, to betray our marriage, to lie to my face for months? Is that what you think, Olivia?" Olivia's manufactured tears turned real now, spilling down her cheeks. She started to sob, twisting her hands together, the picture of distraught guilt. No, of course not. It's just, you don't understand. You never understood. You never liked my friends, my life. You always wanted me to be smaller, quieter, less me." Ethan stared at her, incredulous. She was twisting it, blaming him, making him the reason she cheated. The audacity of it was breathtaking. "Smaller, quieter. I loved you, Olivia. I loved you for who you were, fire and all, but you mistook my patience for weakness. You mistook my kindness for being a doormat. And you know what? I'm done being your doormat." Olivia's sobs intensified, morphing into full-blown wails. She saw it in his eyes now, the cold, unyielding finality. This wasn't an argument to be won, a situation to be salvaged. This was the end. "Ethan, please, don't do this." Ethan's voice dropped again, low, dangerous, cutting through her tears like a knife. "I'm filing for divorce, Olivia. I can't stay married to someone who would betray me like this. I won't." He turned and walked out of the kitchen, leaving her standing there, sobbing, the smell of burnt coffee filling the air. The sound of her cries followed him, a hollow, meaningless soundtrack to the shattering of their life. The days that followed were a blur of lawyers, paperwork, and strained silences. Word spread through their Park Slope circle like wildfire. Olivia and Daniel. Affair. Divorce. Friends took sides, whispered behind backs, sent awkward texts of support. Ethan remained a rock, calm and collected on the surface, even as he felt like he was crumbling inside. He focused on Max, on shielding him from the fallout, on maintaining some semblance of normalcy for his son's sake. He moved into a smaller apartment in his old neighborhood, closer to his parents, a refuge from the wreckage of his marriage. He didn't want a messy, public battle, not for Max, but the trust, the foundation of everything he thought they had, was gone, vaporized, beyond repair, like trying to glue together shattered glass. Weeks turned into months. The divorce was finalized, a sterile, impersonal document that legally ended 7 years of shared history. Olivia tried to call, to text, to show up at his apartment, pleading, begging for another chance. "Ethan, please, I made a mistake, a terrible mistake. I'm so sorry. I miss you. I miss us. I'll do anything, just give me another chance." Ethan would meet her in a neutral coffee shop, his face set, his voice devoid of emotion. He listened to her pleas, her tearful apologies, the desperate promises to change, to be better, to somehow undo what she had done. He heard the words, but they were empty, hollow, meaningless. The trust was gone, sucked out of their relationship like air from a punctured tire. "Olivia," he'd say, his voice quiet, firm. "I loved you. I truly loved you. I gave you everything I had, but you broke us. You broke me, and I can't go back. I can't pretend it never happened. I can't live like that, always wondering, always questioning, always waiting for the next lie." Olivia's face would crumple, tears streaming down her face. "But I love you, Ethan. I do. I was wrong, so wrong. Please, just one more chance to prove it." Ethan would look at her, his heart aching with a ghost of the love he once felt, a flicker of pity for the woman she had become. But pity wasn't enough. Forgiveness wasn't enough. Not this time. "I wish I could, Olivia, I really do. But I'm done hurting. I'm done." And Daniel. He vanished as quickly as he had appeared. The fire he offered Olivia turned out to be nothing more than a fleeting spark, a cheap thrill that fizzled out the moment the affair was exposed. He ghosted her, moved on, leaving Olivia alone to face the wreckage of her choices, the ruin of her marriage, the judgment of their friends. The cold, hard reality of her betrayal. Ethan focused on Max, on building a new life, a quieter life, but a life built on solid ground, on truth, on self-respect. He found solace in the simple things, in Max's laughter, in the quiet evenings reading together, in the slow, steady rhythm of his new routine. The heartbreak lingered, a dull ache in his chest, a constant reminder of what he had lost. But beneath the pain, there was something else growing. Strength, resilience, and a quiet, unwavering certainty that he had made the right choice. He had chosen himself. He had chosen Max. He had chosen a future, however uncertain, over a toxic past that threatened to consume them both. He had learned a painful lesson, a lesson etched in heartbreak and betrayal. Kindness isn't weakness. And sometimes, walking away is the strongest thing you can do.